All right, everyone else. All right, we'll get started. Let's see. Erin looked like she made the chimichangas. She posted the video. And then Sarah, you sent me the picture. I don't think you posted it in the group yet. She made the sheet pan chicken and the roasted veggies. That
Yes,
turned out good.
yes, very tasty. Tony even liked it, so that was a win.
There you go. I
So,
was hoping Erin was gonna jump on because I know she made those chimichangas. I've made those before and they're really good and they like reheat well. So save that for a future recipe. Um, I don't know. I I know I didn't put it in the Facebook group, but I thought I said it last week. If not, this past week's challenge, and I'll make it this week's kind of challenge too. Um, Post those pictures of food prep um, photos that you do throughout the week. Any new recipes that you want to try and share. So recipes and pictures of food prep. And this week, go to Tom, and you're gonna get a nice little cooler. It's actually a decent size, insulated, and if nothing else, a good idea to keep it in your car for when you stop at the grocery store and need to get some cold items, especially down here in Florida. You can throw it in there and keep it cold on the way home. Okay, so next week again, and I'll try to remember to post tomorrow morning too, like pictures of your meal prep that you make and share any recipes. Okay. But this week, we're going to talk all about diets, the yo yo, the fad diets, kind of what works, what doesn't, kind of what we do here at Shark Bite. Um, but before we go there, like next week's recipes, I don't know if you guys have kind of looked into that, but that kind of in the lines of some comfort food. I know Sarah could still have snow, but we're starting to go into summer. I don't think we're gonna have any more cool days down here for us Floridians, but keep those. Try some. Because I always looking for new and different things, or kind of save those for this fall. But they're like the pumpkin muffins, right? You kind of think more like fall. They're good. They're really good with your macros. Just remember, they're not going to taste like a cupcake, but they've got a really good texture and pretty flavorful and good on your macros. The breakfast fried rice is loaded with veggies, and that's something that's super easy. And then the other breakfast item is with the granola, and I threw in yogurt on there. It's homemade granola. It's pretty simple. Kids will probably like it if you've got kids at home. Um, but just remember, like that granola can be heavy on the fats and not a lot of protein in there. That's kind of why you pair it with yogurt. But just definitely heavy on the fats because it's got your nuts, some coconut oil in there. So a good idea with that. And I think it has that on the recipe. As soon as you're done making it and you cool it, go ahead and pre-portion it out into like Ziploc bags or little Tupperware. So that way you don't sit there and eat the whole thing at once. Because you'll make it and you start snacking on it and then realize a bunch of it is gone already. So be mindful of that and just go ahead and portion it out so you don't binge. The dinner recipes are based off of shredded chicken breast. You could do turkey breast if you wanted to. Um, and to get your shredded chicken, right? Like week one, we had the rotisserie chicken style. This week, it's the chicken breast. So you can do that on your stovetop, your Instapot, your crock pot. Um, Instapot is definitely the easiest and fastest way to go. Um, if you don't have an Instapot, it's kind of life changing. I don't use it as often as I should. Like this week, my mom was here from Iowa, so we made some pasta salad and threw some boiled eggs in there, and I put my boiled eggs in the Instapot, and they were done in like 5 minutes. So different tips and tricks with the Instapot if you have one. Something where in the crock pot it can take 8 to 10 hours, and in the Instapot it'll take an hour. Definitely not something that's necessary, but if you don't have a ton of time to spend in the kitchen, that's one bigger kitchen item that I would recommend. You got the barbecue chicken casserole. With that, you can use cauliflower rice, white rice, brown rice. Depends on if you're trying to stay low carb or, if white rice, brown rice, whatever you kind of prefer. And then if you do have kids at home, picky eaters, use there's some cheese in there. You know, you got some broccoli, a little extra cheese. Hopefully, kind of throw the kids off with that. And then there's a white chicken chili recipe in there that's pretty good. And so, like I said, I don't know for us going into April, May, if we're ready for chili, but definitely save that one for this fall. And then if you love like Asian takeout, that chicken fried rice is really delicious and it'll kind of, you know, remind you of like Asian takeout, but way less sodium in there. And then again, you can use whatever rice version that you prefer. And I don't know if you guys have gotten to it. I think I mentioned it on week one. There's a like 20-minute guide in the back to some simple meals. If you get home late from work, kids soccer, whatever, at night, you're at the gym late, you don't want to get home and cook, or if you've even meal prepped and you don't want to eat what you meal prepped, there's some good, quick, easy recipes in the back of there. So make sure you check those out. Any questions so far? Everybody good? Yep. Okay. So this week we're going to dive into the truth about diets. I feel like this is pretty important, right? Because most of us are here. You're either part of the nutrition program, and you're just looking for some different, easy, healthy recipes, or you know, it might be something that you struggle with and haven't got that extra help yet with your diet. But just kind of want to dive into some of these and, you know, the good, the bad, you know, everything is good, but the main goal is something that you can sustain for long term, right? Anything that you do with any nutrition coach with SharkBite, right? It's not going to be, we're not going to tell you, all right, 30 days, you're going to drop a bunch of weight and you're going to be good to go. It has to be something that you can sustain for a lifetime, right? So Whole30, keto, Weight Watchers, we're going to kind of dive into some of those, right? And, you know, even Whole30, it says it right there. It has that specific time domain in it. So after 30 days, then what do you do, right? So a lot of these are restrictive, right? You can't have this, you can't have that. Whole30 gives you a list of food that you can't have. Paleo has a list of things that you can't have. And then what do you think about things that you can't have? At least I know I do. It's like, it told me I can't have this, and then like that's all I want to eat. So normally with diets, right, we're gonna think, especially along the lines of tonight, think about like weight loss and fat loss, right? That's normally most of all of our goals. Sometimes people have to go on specific diets for health reasons, right? That's not kind of what I'm talking about tonight. We're going for that like weight loss, fat loss section. So do diets really work? A lot of the facts don't lie, right? So most people can lose weight on a diet, 100%. Sure, a lot of people can lose weight, but only 5% can keep that weight off long term, right? So kind of read off some statistics. After 1 year of dieting, 50% of people have gained the weight back, and in 3 years, 95%. So only 5% are successful after 3 years, right? And why is that? It's because there's really no focus on what happens after the diet. We're here, we want to have a sustainable long-term lifestyle change, right? The yo-yo dieting, we all know, like these people in our lives, it could be some of us at one point in our own lives, that lose the weight, but then you put back on the weight, and typically after the weight loss, you're going to end up gaining more weight than what you started with, right? You lost a bunch of weight, but then you add that back on and then some. And that's not what we want, right? Nobody wants to put it all back on and then some. So 33 to 66% will regain more weight than they originally lost. Most people diet in like an unsafe and healthy way and cause damage to your bodies long term. You start to mess with metabolism, and your body feels like it's famished. So when you start eating normal again, your body's going to start storing the food, right? So a lot of diets aren't healthy to drop that weight quick, and then you like start feeding your body again. You're like, ooh, what's this? I give my brother a hard time. He's 6'6". He's not a big dude, but he's got this belly, and he's like, I don't ever eat. I'm like, because when you do eat, your body just stores it. It's stored in your belly. He still doesn't believe me, or he doesn't listen. That's a better way to put it. But right, he's a cop. He's got kids. He's on the go all the time and barely eats. So when he does, he just stores it. So it's like for him, it's hard to understand that. So just kind of remember, if you go on a drastic change for 30 days, when you do start eating more normal, you're just going to start to store that until you kind of get that balance in. Again, we can dive way deep into all of that, but not going to do that. We don't have enough time for that. But like, how do we break that cycle, right? Like, what we really need to do is like let go of the fad diets, the quick fixes, right? Nothing is going to be quick and that's going to be long term, right? All the different hacks out there, the pills, the wraps, I don't know them all, but we all know like different ones, right? Anything, again, that's going to be sustainable and long term isn't going to be quick. And unfortunately, that's like the ugly, hard truth, right? Your body, you have to know like where we're at right now. If it's not where you want to be, just remember like where you're at now didn't happen overnight. So you have to like be patient with yourself, give yourself the time and start being committed. And then gradually you'll start to see the changes down the road, right? But you can't expect, something that may have taken 6 months, a year, right? COVID happened last year, right? Most people so they gained the COVID 20, right? That didn't just happen. I don't know when COVID started, March last year, right? That didn't happen from like March to June, right? It probably happened gradually over those few months. And then towards the end of the year, we're here a year later, right? Some people may have lost it, some people haven't. But that didn't happen overnight. So remember, be like gracious with yourself and give yourself the time to get to where you want to be. Let's see. Off that soapbox. Sustainability, right? So the main things that like when we talk about implementing that lifestyle change is sustainability. You want to be able to make sure that you can maintain whatever you're doing at a certain rate and level with eating that you can do for life, right? And then also like something that you can adhere to, like that commitment to the cause. If you aren't committed, it's not going to work, right? So for those of us, what's a good example? I know for me, I like my animal proteins, and I couldn't just switch it off for myself and go vegan and be like, that's it, because I know what I like, what long term, like it's just not realistic for me. That's more probably an extreme one, but people are like, oh, I'm going to quit drinking for 30 days. But what happens is that on day 31, so you're better off being moderate with it than just going like cold turkey. But again, if it's something that you can't commit to, is it really something that you should even start? But dieting shouldn't be taken lightly. As we mentioned before, like with your bodies, you can do long-term damage with it. If you end up worse than what you were before, and nobody wants that, definitely. But so if you really want it, it's going to take the work and it's going to take time. Just don't put yourself in a worse place than what you started. If you work with me, Katie, Layla, Christy, right? We're going to help you plan out what's going to work for you. And if it's not something that we know that you can't sustain in the future, it's not something that we're going to start you down that path with. All right. So tonight we're going to kind of dive into a little bit of like 5 different popular diets. You got keto, which is kind of big right now. Intermittent fasting for sure. Paleo. most of you are in the CrossFit world, so that if you've heard that before, we could talk about that a little bit. Whole30 I mentioned, and then like Weight Watchers. These all focus on weight loss or fat loss. They want to reduce the amount of calories in some way. And to lose weight, we need to consume fewer calories than we're burning, right? So that's just the physics part of it. But there's a lot of ways to do that. And there's definitely healthy ways to do that and unhealthy ways to do that. I think last week I talked crap about my mom before she got here and her doing the keto and throwing a stick of butter in her coffee and stuff. I was happy to find out that she was no longer doing that when she arrived, but she, again, she's has struggled her whole life with weight, but she does the yo-yo diet thing. So I'm like, wow, she'll listen to me one of these days, but she's not doing keto anymore because it's hard to maintain a long-term lifestyle. Right? It's low carb, high fat, and moderate proteins. Carbs, our body uses those as energy, which turns the carbs into glucose, and then the energy our body uses called glycogen. On the keto diet, the amount of carbs that you're eating is so low that your body switches from burning the glycogen for fuel to using ketones. Okay, the ketones are your energy that comes from fat, right? We all want to burn that fat. But when your body switches to burning ketones, it's called that ketosis. So if you've ever dove into this diet at all, heard anything about it, but just because you're in ketosis does not mean that you're actually losing weight, right? Being in ketosis just means that you're using the fat for energy, and there's different ways. The only way to really test if your body is in this state of ketosis is blood, urine, and I think a breath test is something that they can do. It would have to be done, not something that you can necessarily do at home. And it's burning that fat, or the energy that you get from fat is not the same energy that you get from your carbs. There can be some pros to it, especially people who are gluten intolerant, stuff like that. There, been studies done that there's patients that suffer from seizures or epilepsy or even Alzheimer's, right? And some people, when they even start and really cut out the carbs, they say that they have more mental clarity because ketones have a neuroprotective qualities in them. So if you're on that extreme end of it, Alzheimer's, seizures, that type of stuff, it can have the health benefits for you. It's very good at killing your appetite, right? Because you're eating high fat, a little bit of protein, zero carbs. So you're going to be full and just feel full and not eat as much as you probably would. But you're not necessarily going to lose weight because you're still consuming those high calories, right? And then it also helps kind of reduce those cravings. You're feeling fuller longer in between eating, right? Not having the snacks. I love my snacks, so not going to work for me. Excuse me. Some cons, it's very restrictive, right? Basically you're removing an entire food group out of your diet, on getting rid of those carbs, right? Most of us enjoy our pastas, our grains, our cereals, our breads, and even your beans, legumes, veggies, right? With the keto diet, you're basically eliminating all of that from your diet. And for anyone, I don't really just know how you can sustain that for long term. And then if you do kind of go off the track, most people end up binging, right? And then where do you start back over at? So if it's not something you can sustain, again, like I mentioned, don't even try it. And it can be very limiting, right? So if you go over to a friend's house, or if you are out in some sort of social setting, you have to be mindful of what you're drinking, right? Alcohol's loaded with carbs. And then, just different things that are going to be laid out there for you to eat, and you're either going to not eat pick at some things and stuff. So just, social settings can be sometimes difficult for that. Even for vegans, right? A lot of people, I know Katie, I'm more mindful of it now. Definitely have a lot of more vegans in my life. Definitely did it in Iowa growing up, where all those meat and potatoes. But as I've gotten older and different friends and groups and people in my life, like you just, more along the norms and be mindful of that type of stuff. But I know trying to plan different things with Katie and, having those different options there. So people definitely probably think of vegans before they're going to think of, oh, what if somebody's on the keto diet or on that? So just different things to be mindful of. All right, the next one. Anyone have questions on the keto diet? No? Okay. And I'm kind of diving into these just because I feel like with the meal prep and everything that we have gone over, like these different diets, kind of breaking them down a little bit is going to be helpful for us in the long term and understand like what is going to work for you, right? And we can help you down the right path for you. So intermittent fasting, right? It's used with any style of eating, so that's not a bad way, but it's a way to limit your eating window to like a certain number of hours per day. So like I'm going to eat from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's my window that I have to eat. I'm not going to eat between 7 p.m. and 11 a.m. in the morning, right? So I'm not going to eat it all during that time. And then 11 to 7, good to go. Just eat. And for me, I don't think that's a great idea for fat or weight loss. If you ask me like, hey, what do you think about this? I would definitely say no. And not that you can't lose weight, but it's also a way of definitely not eating or starving yourself, right? You might not be hungry if you just ate at 7. You're going to be good maybe until you wake up in the morning, but then you're essentially like starving yourself until 11 a.m. I know I'd be starving. I'm hungry at 5 a.m. All right. And especially if you have a history of an eating disorder or anything like a bad relationship with food, intermittent fasting would definitely be like a hard no. Don't try it. It just doesn't establish like that healthy relationship with food that we want. Right? Food's not bad. It's all good in one, moderation. Right? There can be health benefits to the intermittent fasting. You're definitely not going to magically drop weight. Are you tracking the amount of macronutrients that we talked about on day one, your protein, your carbs, and your fats? Or are you just eating whatever you want to in that time frame? And I know plenty of people, myself included, if you're only eating 2 meals in that time frame, you can consume way more calories in 2 meals than what you would spreading it out throughout the day. And then any questions on intermittent fasting? Try to go through these. Paleo, like I mentioned, it's very popular in more of the CrossFit fitness scene. It's based off of like they want you to eat what our ancestors ate, right? Focus on like nutrient dense but low calorie foods. And there's again the list of restricted foods such as grains, so no bread, no oatmeal, no cereal, no legumes, no peanuts, no beans. Dairy is completely out, so yogurt, milk, cheese, no refined sugars, not a bad thing there. Potatoes and processed foods. And the list kind of goes on from there. So that is pretty restrictive, but not the worst diet out there. But again, is it something that you can stick to long term? I think there, one of it would be no alcohol, right? No grains in there. Dairy. I know a lot of people stay away from dairy, whether either you're vegan or health reasons, right? You're lactose intolerant or have like a food allergy to dairy. So if that is in there, otherwise, dairy can be a great source of protein, calcium, and other minerals, right? So depending on your lifestyle, health issues, it's not a bad thing for you. It's just hard. I know some people that have done it and can be successful, but it's definitely very strict. Again, another one where you go out into social settings. Is it something that you can stick to and be committed to? Whole30. Has anybody ever tried Whole30? No. I know some people that have done it. It sounds terrible. It's definitely like an elimination type of diet, and it's time bound. So you have your 30 days. You focus on whole foods that with limited processing. So they restrict anything with added sugar, no alcohol, no grains, dairy, legumes, baked goods, no treats. For me, no pizza on Friday night. But there's also no tracking to that as well. And there's like a little guide in portion sizes, but I don't really think that they give you like a clear cut path. They're just like, don't eat this, don't eat these items, and everything else is like free reign. And it's definitely something that's fairly unlikely that you can sustain past 30 days. The couple girls that I know that done it, I think they have lost some weight, but you talk to them a month later and they're kind of back to where they started. So again, it's something that you can sustain and adhere to. If you have food allergies, the best way to do that might be to eliminate a bunch of stuff and then start adding it back into your diet slowly, like one thing at a time. If you don't have any issues, you can do that. Otherwise, you need to go see the doctor and get pricked a bunch of times and have all your allergies tested. Other than that, like eliminating all of those foods out of your diet at once, you're probably not going to be very successful with. Weight Watchers, who's done that? No one? Okay, there's Harry. Like my mom did that when I was a kid, so I used to eat all her food. This is not bad, but
I do some of like the lean meals, the frozen meals as a quick meal during the day if I know that I'm not going to have time to spend, doing whatever. It's just like I can throw it in the microwave for 3.5 minutes and be done.
Yeah. My mom had a lot of those. I think in college I ate a lot of those just because I'm like, this is healthy for me. Right? And it was, like Sarah said, quick, easy, on the healthier spectrum. But with Weight Watchers, right, that's a point system for what you can eat. So everything has points added to it. So again, we're kind of back to that restricting you to points. So basically like a simple version of counting your macros and calories. All right. They target people who are like eating that processed food already and probably overeating. And it's something that can be very simply understood. So people who completely lost, don't have access to us or other nutritionists out there, right? They're like, okay, it seems simple enough. But some cons that they only assign the, that's rowdy, point values to complete foods, right? So if you go to a fast food chain, say, I'll even pick a healthier one, Chick-fil-A, right? You get a number one. I have no idea what that would even consist of, but they're going to give you points. That's 10 points out of however many you can eat out of the day. It doesn't break down how much fat's in there, how much carbs in there, how much protein. It's just overall points that are associated to that. It's a huge difference between like losing weight and losing fat. Anybody can lose like the weight by eating less, right? But you really want to lose the weight, the fat, and keep it off long term. You've got to like switch that focus. And for me, right, Katie, what did I tell you when I started? I'm like, I need to lose a little bit of weight, a little bit of fat, but I can't lose my muscle, right? Like, I at the gym all the time, but I'm also a firefighter, so I'm like, I need to have my strength and all of that. So that's where like that fat loss comes in, but not losing just a bunch of weight and like losing all my muscle, right? For me, if I was 110 pounds, that wouldn't be successful to me, right? About 150 pounds, 160 pounds, and I'm good. But 160 pounds with me higher in the fat versus less on the fat, like the scale will only change a few pounds for me, but my size, my waist, and everything is like there's a huge difference. So definitely want to make sure we're focused on the right areas and what you overall want. But for most of us, we want to be strong, be able to move, walk, squat down, pick up our grandkids, go for walks, different types of activities, and not just be sedentary and, have those healthier lifestyles. Said it doesn't break it down, right? And some people on Weight Watchers, right, you have however many points per day, they're going to save those points for Pop-Tarts, soda, Taco Bell, whatever it is, right? So like there's no restriction on your points. It's just that, okay, I ate my 100 points today, but it could have all been crap, right? And they do market, like Sarah said, the Lean Cuisine, the Weight Watchers. Is it probably like a healthier option on rare occasions to grab those and have those for lunch instead of going to Taco Bell? Absolutely. But just be mindful of like the processed food, and it's probably not something that you want to eat on a regular basis. There's not a lot of nutrients in there that's going to help you. There's definitely like better ways out there, and we're going to dive into that next week. Kind of like which strategy should you pick for you, all that. Like no matter what you do, right, it's all going to require like a little bit of sacrifice and some self-control, right? I think that's where most of us can sometimes, struggle with. And but you just have to choose wisely. And again, like I've said probably at least 10 times, what's going to work for you long term down the road. That's going to you're going to get to the goals that you want to reach, and that you can be happy and sustain it. And you don't have to restrict the items that you really do love out of your diet. I love ice cream. My grandpa, he's 95, and he says as long as he has ice cream in the freezer, he's not out of groceries. So I come by that honestly, right? But it's okay to have that once in a while. If you tell yourself like, I can't have it, then you just, like I said, your mind goes there, you want it, you crave it. And then instead of just having a normal serving of ice cream, you're going to eat the whole pint. Right? So we just want to help you find that balance within your life and be healthier versions of ourselves. Anybody have any questions? I know some of you are already in the nutrition program already. And by no means is this like, hey, sign up for nutrition, but just know if you guys ever do struggle that that's what we're here for. And it's not, there's no one size fits all, right? Whether it's, your workouts, and especially with nutrition, right? It's all individual. And I think that's one thing that I really like about the program that we do. It's different for everyone, but we can help everyone kind of get that end result. Any questions? I felt like I talked really fast tonight. Everyone's quiet though. No questions at all?
Crystal, is your nutrition information about your nutrition programs, is that on the app? Can you find that on the app?
We have some information on the website, and then there's a link on there for the nutrition and like a no snack intro, and that's something that we could do virtually.
Okay, I'll take a peek.
Yeah, when did you post that picture? Today? Of all your meal prep, and you had that little calendar, like dinners. That was impressive.
Well, I've found that that is really helpful so that I'm not struggling throughout the week trying to figure out what am I making. You know, just having all of my week planned out of what I'm having for every meal, then I know I've got it ready or the food is prepped for it. And it helps with the grocery shopping for me.
Has anybody used like the recipes in the grocery shopping guide? No. I mean, it is helpful. I can't see Christian. It's just his iPhone. But for someone who's like single, bachelor, just moved out for like the first time, like, okay, here's the recipe, but what do I need and how much of it do I need? That type of stuff. Like, super helpful. There he is. Hi. Have you used any of the recipes, Christian? No. Well, when you do, like, use the grocery guide if that's something that like is completely brand new to you and trying to figure out, you know, because a lot of it might just call for olive oil. Well, do you have, like, I know most of us, we have olive oil, salt, pepper, some different seasonings, some vinegars, right? Just at home, but starting out brand new, you know, do you need to buy it or not? It's definitely really helpful in there. Everybody good? We got one more week to go. That is where I am traveling next weekend. So Monday night at 7:30. Apologize for any confusion. And then if needed, you can always, you know, the video will be there and can jump on. But challenges for the week, post your meal prep pictures, and it doesn't have to be what you're doing, you know, if it's not in the recipe guidebook. And then any recipes that you want to share. I'll try to find a few more videos. There's one for the turkey quinoa meatballs that I can't find. Nick probably has it somewhere.
Those
Not-
are-
Good video. I bet he does have it. You gotta ask him.
Did you say something, Tom?
Yes, those are good. I had them for lunch.
Yeah, they're really good. They're simple. You can make a big batch of them. Anybody else? I know Lori Morgan made the overnight oats. Anybody make those yet?
Made those today.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I'll try them out tomorrow.
Yeah, I normally do a double batch, but I only did it one time, so it made 6. So EJ and I'll each have it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for breakfast, and then we'll be out of town. I did contemplate because I'm like, I know it'll last in my refrigerator, so it would have been here when we got home. But I'm off until I work tomorrow or Tuesday, and then I'm off until Mother's Day. So I'm like, I'll have time to get caught back up when we get home. Then it's back to reality. But let me know if you have any questions. Shoot me a message. You got my phone number and in the Facebook group, through Facebook, whatever. Katie's here. Answer any questions, whatever you guys need. All right, we'll see you next Monday. Have a good night.
Thank
I
you.
know.